Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and we get to do another Forbidden Music. I've been keeping track of these. I'm probably going to make some kind of special fuss when I've made like 40 Forbidden Musics or 100 total combined, because this entire time I'm also doing a special one of these for $10 and up patrons, because I got to come up with something for people who are being very generous. You guys might be the things between me and being unable to continue. It's amazing that I get to do this full time. And as long as I'm able to do it, I want to be able to do something cool for like the extra helpful people who are kicking in more than normal people can manage. But here is another not normal person that is a recipe for doing forbidden music, because you don't get to put Jimi Hendrix on YouTube. This is ContentID blocked. But this is Jimi Hendrix's sophomore record, Axis Boldest Love. You'll notice that it says Warner 7 reprise up here. I don't think I have a Warner 7 version. I have a reprise Steamboat label. And all of these are a little crackly and old. But the track I'm playing off of this and showing you on Meter, but you're only going to be able to hear little snippets of it because it is a forbidden record. Even if I was to, you don't get to put the full version of this on YouTube ever. There is a bunch of other things like that. I can always go back to the Beatles well forever. And I can always go back to the Eagles well for these. And in fact, I can play Prince tracks as well along the same lines. Stuff that doesn't get to be played on YouTube, that is content policed by the YouTube algorithm and the Content ID. The track I'm going to play you is Wait Till Tomorrow. Now, I have been told that Jimi was actually Mitch Mitchell's guitar player. And I could see that. This is a 1967 record. This is the one with Castles Are Made of Sand. It's got a little wing, if 6 was 9. It's got a lot of neat stuff, Spanish Castle Magic, but this is the EXP counts as a track. That's the intro to it. So 1, 2, 3, and this is track 4 on the album. It is way the heck up on the track list rather than being buried towards the end, and rightly so. Although it's just a sort of bluesy rhythm and blues kind of romp, similar to like Red House or whatever, but this is a little more up-tempo. And it's very much the kind of Revenge of the Rhythm Guitar Sideman kind of thing. Because one of the cool things that Jimi does on this track is a relentlessly busy and interesting rhythm guitar part. And he's just playing the heck out of the whole thing. It sounds marvelous. And the singing is wonderful, but also the drums are really strong on this track. The drums are crisp as anything, and Mitch is playing the heck out of it and getting to do basically any fill he wants. It's just all the fills all the time, combined with Jimi playing a really busy rhythm guitar part and a nifty song behind it, and bass playing by Noel Redding is quite strong. Bass playing is wedded to the drums very crisply. The whole thing is simply a delight. I wish I could play it all for you. I can't. I can play it, and you can hear little snippets of it. So you can hear some of what your Jimi Hendrix Axis Boldest Love sound can be at its fullest experience. Because this band sound Remember when this came out, this is 1967, they barely had PA systems back then. Your PA system would basically just have a voice in it, if you're lucky. And the sound of this band that was taking the world by storm was very likely Mitch relatively unamplified. The sound of his drums is the sound that you would hear if you were pretty close up front in a room where this band was playing without a PA for the drum kit. And then the bass is probably another Marshall stack or something like it, and the guitar is a Marshall stack with a Strat into it. A Strat that loud into a Marshall stack does sound kind of like that. It's using the tube amplifier, and you don't natively overdrive a Marshall stack by diming it with just a Strat going into it. But what you do get is a extremely large amount of like clarity and aggression and directness. Not the same kind that you'd get off of a Fender Twin, because a Fender Twin is more your sort of ice pick in the ear kind of sound, where there's just a lot of spike to it. But Marshalls aren't really like that. Marshalls saturate a little bit more. They have a little bit of a warmer overdrive. But this is the dimed Marshall sound without lots of overdrive. So it's just right up until you still get a certain amount of clarity, but there's that saturation in there, softening the edges of it, and then it's just being mic'd at enough of a distance where air is blurring some of the edge. So the sounds you're hearing on the guitars are the kinds of sounds that you would get if it was balancing with drums played that loudly in a room. Because the Marshall stack is big enough to compete with no matter how loud of a drummer you are. You could have the Marshall stack playing something that's as clean as you will hear, but that's what it does when you're trying to get a clean sound at that amplitude. And that's what it sounds like, and it does balance, and it's got a little bit of the quality that I talked about in the $10 and up one, which was Cross-Eyed Mary by Jethro Tull, where the sound will, like, you're going to hear more of the impact of it, and it's not going to necessarily sound quite the same as when you bring in the full Monty of all modern rock compression and saturation and so on. This is a little earlier than that. So this is not dissimilar to what you'd get off of, say, Cream, when they were doing their sophomore album, Disraeli Gears, and had everything mic'd from basically across the room so that the mics wouldn't distort. Because back in the day, that's what you did. You put the microphones far enough away that the incredibly loud drums and the incredibly loud amps didn't actually distort things. And then maybe you compressed it a little bit or did what you needed to do. But mostly this early, that wasn't happening. And you're hearing what this instrumentation actually sounds like when it goes full crank. And again, Stratocaster into Marshall stack at full crank doesn't always go full Yngwie Malmsteen saturation and distortion. You can pull it back just a little bit, even on the guitar. You can pull it back. You can pull back the high frequencies with the tone control on the guitar, set it up properly, and have exactly the right degree of like impact and punch out of it. But then having it coming through that big of an amp means that the shape of it kind of steps back, and the overall tone sounds and acts and feels very differently from if you were doing a DI Strat, for instance. And yeah, that is the thing I'm attempting to show you here with this track off of Axis Boldness Love. Wait till tomorrow. I'm sorry I can't play it all the way through, but study the little bits of it, the little snippets of it that you can hear, because this, as I said, this is the original record This is the original sound of what Jimi Hendrix sounded like in real life back in the day. And there's lots of people who have wanted to imitate this sort of thing. So this is the source. I hope you enjoy hearing whatever little snippets of it get through the ContentID plugin. And I'll be back next week with something else. Enjoy.
Inside your golden garden, lean up against we plan to run away. There's no time to stall. Till tomorrow. That's right. So until oh, Dolly Mae, on the phone you said you hear like some turn down strange words that are from, and you keep telling me. Take it right away, dude. It's right until see if I can talk to you. Insane, so unsure window pane of somebody pointing something from a tree. Your daddy just shot. Say, as I